Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in today to the Driven to Better podcast. I'm your host, Justin, and consider this episode 0, to be kind of the About Me page of the podcast. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, my background, who we're going to talk to on the show, and how it's going to work going forward. So sit back and enjoy. So who am I? I'm Justin Sisley, your host for the show. I'm 28 years old, and I'm an entrepreneur. Am I a successful entrepreneur? I'll be honest and say no, but I haven't failed either, because you can't fail until you give up, and I won't give up. On the show, I'll ask all my guests how they ended up deciding they were an entrepreneur, so in fairness, I'll share my version of that story. I graduated from the University of Wisconsin with a master's degree in accounting and started a full-time career with the largest accounting firm in the world. After only a year there, putting in 60-plus hour weeks for a mediocre salary, I knew I had to get out. So I ended up going back to work at an e-commerce retailer that I worked at in college. The position wasn't even in accounting, it was in logistics and supply chain management, along with some customer service. Now, I'm going to share some details with you here and simply trying to point out to you how you'll know that you're meant to be an entrepreneur. It really hit me, and I think it'll hit you if you're not already there yet. There may be some cases where entrepreneurship just kind of gradually becomes a way of life for someone, but for the most part, it's something that'll really hit you. You'll feel it. And this is my story of how I felt it. So in this e-commerce job I never worked a minute more than 40 hours a week. I worked with some of my best friends in the world, and I was 24 years old making damn near 6 figures. I had a brand new car and a condo that was way bigger than I needed for just myself. But the job was so incredibly unfulfilling. And despite only working 40 hours, it was taking over my life. My boss was a tyrant. The customers were some of the most unpleasant people I've ever talked to. After work, I spent way more time than I'd like to admit complaining about work. It was like a cloud that hung over me. I knew that if I stayed there, it would start to ruin my life. People don't want to hang out with someone who just constantly complains about their job. I was single at the time, and no girl wants to be with a guy who hates his job. So one day in December of 2012, I quit. I left what the following year would have been a salary of well over 6 figures. I didn't have another job lined up. I didn't really have a plan at all, but I knew that I would figure something out. So in the 2 years since then, I've bounced around at various jobs, learning as much as I can and attempting to start businesses. Nothing has become what I'd call a success yet, but I know it'll come in time. So these days I'm working a full-time job that I actually enjoy, and it gives me the time to work on my own business ideas outside of work. On the side right now, I run a few sports leagues in Madison, Wisconsin, where I call home. Side note, if you're in Madison and you're looking for a fun, social, and only semi-competitive way to meet new people, check out MidwestTailgate.com. Join a bag toss or coob league. Sorry for the shameless plug, back to the podcast. So I find myself now trying to figure out what the next big idea will be that will propel me into the world of freedom from punching this time clock. This podcast is a way for me to both surround myself with other awesome entrepreneurs and provide truly inspiring stories and amazing current advice to those who have taken or are about to take the entrepreneurial leap. See, I'm mildly obsessed with business podcasts. I love listening to John Lee Dumas, Jason Calacanis, and Pat Flynn, but most of those episodes are with super successful entrepreneurs who are years ahead of me. What they did to become successful happened in a different time and won't necessarily work today. In this age of technology, the market landscape changes incredibly quickly. Think about what businesses were blowing up just 2 years ago. Most of them won't work today if you tried to start them again. And that's where the idea for this podcast came from. On the show, you probably haven't heard of the people I'll interview. They're probably not super successful in an Elon Musk or Mark Cuban kind of way, but they're doing it. They're working on their business every day, and best of all, you'll be able to relate to them. None of my guests are Skyping in from a yacht in the Mediterranean. They're calling from a desk made out of a door stacked on some old file cabinets. They're in a tiny office in a co-working space that costs $50 a month because that's all they can spare. They're just like you and me, and most importantly, what they're doing is happening while you're listening. You can learn from their failures, and you can find out what's working right this very moment. I'm so glad that you're listening right now, and I can't wait for you to hear from the guests I've got in store. So here's a quick 1-minute rundown of kind of the nuts and bolts of the show. 90% of the episodes are going to feature an interview with a fairly early stage entrepreneur. This is where you'll hear inspiring stories from people just like you and be able to learn from their successes and maybe more importantly from their failures. The other 10% of episodes will be kind of helper episodes to give advice and actionable tips from people who are experts at helping entrepreneurs start their businesses. In the first 10 episodes, you'll hear from my co-host Jordan. While recording these episodes, Jordan actually moved across the country and the logistics just got too difficult to coordinate. So going forward from episode 10, it'll just be me. Jordan actually started a new business out in Boulder, Colorado where he moved, so I wish him the best of luck with that. After these first 10 episodes, new shows will come out twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. The homepage for the podcast is at driventobetter.com. There you'll find show notes for each episode as well as some other great resources. My guests will always suggest a book and a business resource, so their show notes page is the place to find those links. Finally, even in just these first 10 episodes you're about to hear, you'll already notice a recurring theme. My guests talk a lot about community. And Jim Rohn, a famous entrepreneur, once said that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It is absolutely crucial in your entrepreneurial venture that you have that kind of support community to help you along. Surrounding yourself with like-minded people who are inspiring and diligent can only help to raise your own average. A great place to find that community is the DTB Plus Club. That you're going to find on the Driven to Better website. Part of that club gets you access to discounts, extras, and giveaways from our guests. The other part gets you exclusive access to the DTB Plus private Facebook page. That will be your support community. That's where you can get advice, bounce around ideas, and help other entrepreneurs like yourself. Consider it to be like a virtual mastermind group. The DTB Plus Club is absolutely free to join, so just head over to driventobetter.com and sign up now. Alright, that about does it for this show. One other note, if anybody wants to get in touch with me with questions, advice, or you just want to say hi, send me an email. I'll reply to anyone who emails me at justin@driventobetter.com. I really hope you enjoy the interviews coming up here. Thanks again for listening, and best of luck on your entrepreneurial journey.